it works. So as you see, and as you read on the title, I finished this Poecilotheria enclosure, the design that I was talking about in one of my older videos. As you can see, you have two doors. The sound is a bit irritating, but oh well. Anyway, you have these doors that you open for basic maintenance, feeding and all that lovely stuff. And you have these doors that you do not open, and on the doors there is a cover that is fixed with magnets, and you can simply remove it, and then you can see inside of tarantula's hide. And then if you want to remove the mold, or maybe you paired your Poecilotheria and you need to remove the egg sac, you simply open these doors and you have super easy access. How about that? And also here on the sides there is also a cover that is removable. You see, there's a magnets, and you simply just there we go. Simple and easy. Stop. Then you take this magnet. How do they work? I don't know. Now we need to transfer Poecilotheria metallica female into this enclosure. But first let me show you a full process of building this enclosure. So it all starts like every other glass enclosure that I built. And since I already made a detailed video about how to make it, I won't go into the details, but the glass that I'm using is 4 millimeters thick. First I'm always connecting the bottom side and back side, and that way once they are cured I can just lay it on the side and I can easily add the sides. Click on the right corner if you want to see a detailed video about how to make a glass enclosure. And here is where I started making changes to the build. I added this piece of glass that connects the sides, and later on you will see that I need it for making the locking mechanism for the doors. And the second major change that I made are obviously the doors, because unlike my previous builds, here I need two doors that opens on the side, so I decided to make them out of the plexiglas, and that way they will be much lighter, and of course I would easily be able to drill the ventilation holes that I need. And little warning to all of you that will attempt to make the similar build: you can't really successfully connect plexiglas with glass using the silicone. I don't know if there is some other type of glue that should be used in this situation, but I use the silicone and it holds, but the bond is not as strong as the glass to glass, so keep that in mind. Now this was the fun part, making a tree imitation that is hollow inside and that tarantula will use as her hide. I was using a styrofoam, and you can use a regular white one. This is the one that I had, so that's why I used it. For carving, make sure to have really sharp knives. Some things you can do with bigger knife, some things you can do with smaller knife. You can also use a scalpel. And for making a hole, I even used my fingers, as I found it to be the easiest method to do that. If you make any mistakes doing this, like I did here, you can easily fix it with expanding foam, and you can also use it if you want to add some details, like I used it for example to make a branch. Now once you apply the expanding foam, you need to let it dry for a day or so, and just be aware that expanding foam will expand, and once it's cured you can cut it and shape it just like any other styrofoam. Now the same thing goes for the background. You just shape it the way you want it and make sure that it fits with the height. I also added some details on the background, and this is how it looked. I was really satisfied with the amount of details that I got. The background wasn't as nice, but it was also decent, and they both fit nicely. I had an idea to use this torch to smooth up the styrofoam, and as you can see, I was testing it out on this background, and I made a small mistakes by using it for a bit too much, so I learned my lesson, so I was more cautious with the height, but it really made a nice smooth surface. Once the shape was finished, it was time to cover it with the cocoa fiber. So first I used this black silicone to cover up the styrofoam. This silicone is used for the aquariums and it is safe for your animals. And of course that once I took the cocoa fiber, wind started blowing like crazy, so I was forced to move inside. In case that you don't know how this technique exactly works, I already made a detailed video, so click in the right corner and check it out to see what exactly is happening. And the final result, not sure how much you can see from this footage, but the carved details are still visible, so I'm really happy how this one turned out. Now for the background, I wanted to try out something different. This smaller part of background is also covered with cocoa fiber because it is like some tree imitation. And for the rest, I wanted to have a bit different texture, so I took a sphagnum moss, a completely dried sphagnum moss, and I put it in a blender. I blended it, and then I used that to cover the background. Of course, the texture was different as I wanted, but the looks of it is just not right. I don't know, but it doesn't really look as natural as I imagined to be. The details aren't really showing, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. But that was just an experiment, so you can't always have a successful experiment. Next time I will try to mix something with the sphagnum moss and we'll see how that one will go. I used the silicone to secure the hide and the background, and then I filled the gap with the expanding foam. The result, as you can see, is not amazing, but it is what it is. Then I made a drainage layer with clay balls, and I used this fabric to separate it from the substrate. The substrate is the one that I used in Poecilotheria build. You can check it out by clicking in the right corner. It is also important to have a bit of substrate in the tarantula hide, because majority of arboreal tarantulas will use it to add it to the webbing. For that I used the plain cocoa fiber. I also added springtails to keep the enclosure clean. They eat mold and fungi. And I covered everything with the leaf litter. That always makes the enclosure look more natural. Now regarding the doors, it is much easier if you install them first. I learned that the hard way, but still somehow I managed to attach them. I used the acrylic hinges and I connect them simply with the silicone. Now since I cut the plexiglas with the scalpel, edges were a bit rough and the doors really couldn't open easily. I mean, you could open them, but only together, and that was not acceptable. That's why I used the Dremel tool to polish the edges so doors can easily open. And this Dremel tool is something that every hobbyist should have at home, because it is so useful. You can make holes, you can cut with it, you can polish something, you can add all kinds of attachments to it. So even if you are not making the enclosures, I highly recommend getting one. And regarding that, in the description you will find links for majority of stuff that I used in this video. Those are the Amazon links and they should take you to the appropriate site. If you are from USA, when you click the link, it should take you to the USA Amazon, and if you are from the UK, it should take you to the UK's Amazon. Same goes for the Canada and for the Germany. So if you're from those countries, please check them out and tell me if they work as I said, because I can't really check here from Croatia if it takes you to appropriate site. And finally I use this magnet to hold the doors together. It is just a regular magnet that you use in your furniture, but it is cut in half so it can separately be used on both doors. Now regarding the cover, of course I forgot to record it, so I will quickly explain. It's nothing complicated. I used this, I don't know what kind of material this is, but it's like some plastic that is easily cut with the scalpel. So I just cut it to size that I need, and I also cut space for the hinges. And then I made a holes on it so I can fit these tiny magnets that I got from the eBay. I used just some regular tape, and that tape is holding the magnet. And that's basically it. And from the inside there is also a magnet that is siliconed to the door, and really that's it. Just take that and you see it fits nicely. And the same for the inside. You see here I made a hole too close because you see it is here. This one even crosses the edge, so I couldn't fit the magnet. I just filled it up and made another hole. And this is also the same thing. You see, magnets, and that's it. And for you that don't know the concept, let me just explain now. So you see here, this is a hole that imitates a hollow tree, and majority of arboreals, if not all, I'm not sure, but I think majority of them lives in this type of holes. So this is perfect imitation of where they would live in the nature. So what this design enables, and why this design is superior to every other arboreal enclosure in my opinion. Now you have the perfect hide for your arboreal tarantula. That is all dark and snuggly, I guess that's the official word. So that way your arboreal tarantula will feel really secured, but at the same time, when you want to see the tarantula, you just remove this cover and you can see inside even more if you remove this part. See, you have nice viewing experience whenever you need it, for any reasons. And what's even better is the access. Now imagine if you made a proper tarantula hide. You only have this hole, and if you want to pull the egg-sac, you can see how difficult this could be. But when you have doors like these, it is a piece of cake. Now I'm going to transfer my Poecilotheria metallica female into this enclosure, but that is a story for another video. So see you again next Friday if you want to see that. And let me just quickly say big thanks to all the support that I get, to all the nice comments that I get on my previous video where I stepped on my tarantula. It really means a lot. Thanks. And just so you know, I'm reading all the comments. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs it up and comment something. And if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I upload every Monday and Friday at the same time, so I'll see you again soon. Bye.